in thinking about where to have this announcement, we have many particular choices that were available, but we thought this would really be a good one right here in the lobby where so many people come in for basketball games. We were here when David Miller and others helped make sure that the renovation and expansion of Moody Coliseum occurred. And I remember very clearly David's comments that day, because I got up and talked about how we would have commencement here, how we would have concerts here, big speeches here, share it with the Bush Presidential Center and so on. And David got up and said, I'm glad for all that, but the reason I gave the money was for basketball. And so basketball it is. Moody Magic is a big part of what we all experience and enjoy. And obviously, we're delighted to have Coach Lanier be joining us and with his family. And as Brad mentioned, those that helped with this, David particularly helped a great deal, and we thank him for making his plane available and various things like that as we needed to get the coach and his family here. One of the things that I think we all can appreciate is that our young men and women for basketball also put in a tremendous amount of time in practice and preparation. They're regular students. One of the things we always say in talking about students that may come here to play basketball, well, the statement is, yeah, we like to have them all play basketball, but they also have to be students. And so these young men that are here and Toyel's young women that are on the women's basketball team and all of our sports, it's amazing to us, and it's always a thrill to see how well they do. But one of the things that is required first, of course, is to have great leadership in bringing that about. And so to introduce our new coach and some of the information about him, I'll call up our athletic director, Rick Hart. Rick.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, thank you. Wow, really great to look out and see so many people here today on short notice in some cases. I would tell you last week was a lot of fun, but as I heard David Miller describe it just a moment ago, it was intense. In fact, somebody asked me up in the reception, when did Coach Lanier get on our radar? I said Tuesday. It was a whirlwind process, and I know that Coach has said a couple times, including when he was sitting in my car on, I think it was Wednesday, a little bit surreal. But, you know, I would tell you that despite that quick turnaround, our process was very thoughtful and very thorough. And Rob Lanier is sitting here right here today because he's the guy for the job, and he's going to get it done. And I want to thank, you know, it's funny, we mentioned Toyel, so I was talking to her earlier. We hired Toyel a year ago this Friday on April 1st, 2021. And I let her know, pointed out to her anyway, that she is one of our veteran coaches at SMU now, because we've hired 5 new ones since then. Rhett, you're somewhere, you're not even, you're like old hat too. But what a fun process and what a great day to be a Mustang. Other thing I want to do is I want to thank our young men, our student athletes. You know, I know, and we've talked about it when we were with you Tuesday, the coaching staff and I, big change, a lot of uncertainty, and we know there's still some of that we got to work through together, and this is the first step. But really appreciate the way you guys have handled this and the leadership you've exhibited. That's a big deal, shows a lot about your character. We saw that all season, but I want to thank all of you for the way you've gone about this. And then our staff, our coaching staff and our support staff in men's basketball represents change for them too. But their focus was on our young men, and I appreciate working with such great people. But the future's bright. Again, Moody Magic, more moments are ahead. Really excited as we got into this process. You know, the feedback on Coach Lanier, number one, first-class individual, going to do things the right way, and going to treat people, everybody, the right way. Strong recruiter, great at building a staff, developing players, and a great coach. And those were all the things that we were looking for. I think his time in Austin at UT obviously is an important component to his experience and his familiarity with Dallas and some of the coaches and programs in this area, because we know we want to recruit the Metroplex and we want to develop great talent and keep them home, as we've been able to do in so many of our other sports as part of our Born and Raised effort. So at this time, again, I'd like to formally now, and officially, I suppose, and publicly introduce to you the next head men's basketball coach at SMU, Coach Rob Lanier. You got a jersey. Oh, happy. Let's do it, happy.
That's a lot. Thank you, President Turner, David Miller, Rick Hart. Rick's right. It was a quick turnaround. It was exciting, but I'll say this: my agent is here, Will Reese, and about 2 weeks ago, Will called me and he named 4 jobs, Power 5 jobs, and he said, "Do you want to talk to any of these 4 schools?" And I said, no, 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 and no. On a Tuesday, I got a call about SMU, and I was on a plane on Wednesday. I spent 6 years in the States, so I know a little bit about it. I know there's the potential for something special. I want to thank a few more people first. Dr. Mark Becker was the president at Georgia State when they made the decision to hire me. The athletic director at Georgia State is a gentleman by the name of Charlie Cobb. Great people. Gave me an opportunity. I'll say this to the young people. I write notes, but I never follow them because I try to speak from the heart. So I want you to hear me on this. I was a young head coach that had an opportunity really before I was ready. And I went to the NCAA tournament my first year, so you couldn't tell me nothing. My second year, I went to the NIT. We beat Providence, we beat Villanova, and by this time, you really couldn't tell me nothing. And then 2 years later, I was fired, embarrassed, hurt. And I experienced self-doubt. Wasn't sure if I was good enough. Can I do this? Will I ever get another chance? And over time, I got back to realizing I'm pretty good. But when it came time that I knew I was going to have another chance to be a head coach, I made a commitment to myself that the young people that I coach will not experience self-doubt, that you will be empowered, and you will play with great confidence, and I will be your biggest supporter if you work. You got to do the work, okay? We'll talk some, we'll come back to that. I want to thank our players at Georgia State. And this relates to you guys as well, because what happens is, when there's a coaching change, the internet, Twitter, everything, all they want to talk about is who's going to get what job. And nobody cares about you guys. And when I was a senior in high school, I signed a letter of intent to go to St. Bonaventure and play for a guy by the name of Jim O'Brien. And before I got to school, he took the job at Boston College. They replaced him, and the guy who replaced him left after 3 years, and I had to play for somebody else when I was a senior. So when I walked in the locker room with you guys yesterday, I sat in that chair. And that's why I tried not to make any bold promises about what the future is going to look like. I just want to get to know you. That's it. And because you guys are in the middle of this, here's what happens. And I've talked to the committee about this. One of the things I don't like about coaching changes is everybody wants to make the distinction about whose players belong to who. You're human beings. You don't belong to nobody. You're men, right? So Coach Tim Jankovic recruited these guys, and they're winning with someone else's players and all this nonsense, okay? The reality is, Every coach is different, and you guys have been well coached, and the staff who was here was really good, and they're really good people, and I know them. Fact of the matter is, everybody does things differently. We'll have a culture that'll be different. We're not going to be changing the culture because this culture was bad. In fact, it was good. But it's going to change because I'm different. And because it's going to change, you're either going to buy into it or you're not. And if you buy into it, pony up. You are players. You understand? And if you don't, we're going to help you move on. But you don't belong to nobody. If you're here, you're one of us. You guys know more about this school. This is your school. This ain't my school. This is your school. I'm trying to earn your trust, okay? And we'll figure that out together. There's a woman, I don't know if she's watching this live because she's not really good with technology. So if she's not watching it now, I know she's gonna run it back a bunch of times. And her name is Shauna Foster. She's gonna run this part back a lot. And she's in Fort Erie, Ontario. And I wanna say to her, Mom, I love you. Yeah. When I was young, when I was you guys' age, I wanted to be a pro. I wasn't as good as you guys. I was an average Atlantic 10 conference player, but I wanted to be a pro. But that wasn't my dream. My dream, and it should be yours too, was to have my own family. That was my biggest dream. And this lady with the red on, I know a lot of you guys seen her and thought she might be a famous actress or something, some type of supermodel. But this is my wife. And she is a dream come true, living proof for me as a man that I found the perfect partner to spend my life with. Been married 23 years. And I wanted to be a father. And my man with all the hair right here, dream come true. And baby girl right here, the best that a father could ask for. And to me, that is success. Not money, not notoriety, but being a man is being able to take care of your responsibilities. And this is my responsibility. And you guys are a part of my responsibility. And you're gonna be my family. This is a special place and an unbelievable opportunity. The energy here, man, is unreal. I've been at some good places now, 32 years. MAC Conference, Atlantic 10, Big East, Big 12, SEC. I've seen it. This is different. This is different. The only problem is not enough people know about it. Here they do. In the region, they have an understanding. But nationally, they ain't got a clue. This place is special. And because it's good, because you were well coached by really good coaches, because here's what happens. When you get a job, oftentimes it's because either the culture was bad and you have to come in and teach them how to win, or a situation like this where the culture was good and the coaching was strong. Now, how far can you take it? What can you build on top of that? That's why I got on that plane on Wednesday. For the people that don't know, I want them to find out what's going on here. And that's going to take a lot of work. And I don't know what it was like in your gym and practice and all of that, but I do know we're going to hold you to a really, really high standard. And we're going to do things together as a family. And I'm going to tell you what we say before every game. We say a prayer. Not really a prayer, but it counts as one. We lock arms, we hug each other, and we say we're going to take a moment of silence for those less fortunate than ourselves. Then we say, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to do your best, and you have to do it together. And we say that after the game. And we mean it. And what does that mean? The fact that you get to do what you love. How many people would like to be in your shoes? How many people would like to do what you get an opportunity to do on a college campus? Special. And then to be at a place where people appreciate what you're doing. I've been at a lot of places filled with apathy about the athletic programs. This ain't one of those. This is special. And you should always think about people less fortunate than yourselves. That's not the thing to do now, but we're going to try to get better at that. One of the things I was unhappy with on Friday, I think it was Friday or Saturday, is we were trying to keep this thing under wraps, and it started leaking out. And I didn't want that because I didn't want it to compromise the process that they were trying to execute. But something good came out of that. Because as the rumor started to leak, my phone started blowing up. And it was a theme to the messages I was getting. Because I had spent some special years of my life, and people who know me, they know how I feel about living in the state of Texas. When I was at UT, we used to charter, and there's a difference between walking off a plane into the terminal and walking outside and feeling that Texas air. It's different. Except for in Lubbock, it stink out there. I don't know. But everywhere else, it feels different when you walk off that air. And I was telling my wife, we were talking about it last night, don't it feel good? And the text messages I was getting, they were saying, welcome home. Because people know me, know how I feel. Welcome back. Here's the other thing that they kept saying. You deserve this. And I agree. I do deserve this. And for those of you here who love this program, who care about it and want to see it flourish, you deserve this too, because we're going to do something special. I'm happy to be here. I can't wait to get to meet everyone. I got a lot to learn about the place and the people. I got to learn how to remember some names. But in due time, I'm going to be a part of this love affair that you have. And I can't wait. Thank you.
You be seated. We're going to take a couple of questions from the media and begin with our own hometown newspaper, Dallas Morning News, covers the Hilltop in a great way. Joseph Hoyt. Joe, you got it. There he is, right there, Coach. Or any of the others.
Hey, Rob.
If y'all got any questions, you can ask too.
Hey, Rob, over here. Hey, Joseph Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. You mentioned about introducing this program into the secret that you kind of know about, how good this place is. Obviously, a way to do that is going to the NCAA tournament, which the program hasn't been since 2017. I guess how clear in your mind is that an expectation for you and for this tenure, especially early on?
Early on, I don't know. I got to get to know these guys, right? And we got work to do, and we got to put a staff together. And, but I want to build a great program, and I want to get to a point where getting to the NCAA tournament isn't something that we're longing for. It's something that we do, right? And if you do it enough, then the fact of the matter is you might be able to crack it one time and win the whole thing. That's what I want to do, okay? So my goal is to compete for a national championship. Well, you can't do that if you ain't in the tournament. So you got to get to the tournament. You got to get good enough to do that. And you got to get good enough to do it enough that you'll have a shot one day. I don't know if that answers your question. But.
Hi, Coach. Billy Embody with OnThePonyExpress.com. With the transfer portal and high school recruiting, JUCO, what is your approach to building a roster with all these different avenues you can take now?
Well, it's a new landscape, but I think what all coaches want is to develop a level of continuity in your program so that you could develop a level of consistency in your program, right? And so you still got to recruit good high school players, and you can't be afraid to do that. And this is a good enough program that you can't recruit kids thinking, well, if they're good, they're going to leave. Because if you're good and you treat them right and you love on them and you really care about them and you got good relationships, they're going to stay, right? So that starts from the recruiting process. Then if in the recruiting, at the transfer portal, you can use the transfer portal to help build continuity. I'm not a big fan necessarily of recruiting one-year transfers, but I'll do it. But I want to have relationships with young people over a period of time. And so I'd rather recruit kids in the transfer portal that have 2 or 3 years of eligibility so that you can have some continuity. So between high school, transfer portal, and trying to recruit internationally, but the bottom line is I want talented perimeter players that can really shoot. I want athletic bigs that are mobile and that can move and can play pick and roll defense, can shoot the ball, and if they can score, that would be great too. And I want to play fast. So I want to build a roster that can do that. And I want the game to have high volume, and I want a lot of possessions in a basketball game. But you got to have a lot of talent in order to play a high possession game effectively. So that's the kind of roster I want to build, a roster with depth, great perimeter ability with guys that can shoot, because if I'm going to empower these guys to shoot, they're going to have to make some, right? And so we want to have balance and depth, continuity.
Coach Jordan Hofditz with PonyStampede.com. That place behind you has been a pretty special place for these guys playing. I know you kind of spoke to them a little bit, but if you had one message that you really wanted to get through to the fans that are going to be sitting in those seats watching your team play, what would that be?
Well, at our best, we're going to be really fun to watch. So, I mean, we pick up 94 feet. We tried to do it against Kendrick. It didn't work out very well for us. But the court is 94 feet, and we want to use all 94 of them. And we pressure, but we're not pressing, trying to trap and necessarily turn people over. But if you're going to be in the backcourt dribbling the ball, we're just going to be in the backcourt with you while you're doing that. That's all. And when you get it over half court, then we're going to be guarding you there, right? And then when we get the ball, we're going to try to run as fast as possible and score as quickly as possible. And I think that's fun when you're good at it. You're not good at it, it can look a little shaky, right? But we'll get it right.